Hey gang, this video is intended to assist you in finding research studies so that you can complete the social media research paper. As you can see, this is the site, the assignment site itself, and here's a list of suggested topics, and of course you're welcome to do something else if you want to check in with me on that, and a few of you have, and that's very exciting. I want you to find at least 3 research studies, and I say to go into the library. So if you click on the library tab here on the left, it'll open up this window. You're in the Fuller Library tab. Now you may have to sign in before you get this far, in which case you use the same login credentials that you did to log into Canvas. Click on Databases. That'll open up a screen. You can shrink down how many databases you look at, but if you scroll down, you'll see everything that the seminary has would be here. And I want you to keep scrolling down, keep scrolling down, scrolling down. It's one of these things I can never remember its name until I see it. So bear with me here for a second. Sage Journals Online. That's what I want you to use. This one right here. Sage Journals Online. Click on that. This will open up a search tab. Type in there simply whatever your search happens to be. So say for example your topic is identity formation in digital space. Let's try that. Click on the search icon, and it should really quickly bring us up a bunch of search studies. So top we have digital photography, communication, identity, memory. That might be helpful. It's a little old, 2008. Making space, making place, digital togetherness, and redefinition of migrant identities online. That seems like a cool, interesting study. So you'll see some other ones here, hybrid Muslim identity in digital space. Interesting things, lots to choose on. Here's one, online journals as virtual bedrooms. Now this is a little older, but it's actually very helpful because it really catches the transition into early online identity presentations. So even though this one's a little bit older, this one happens to work. But for the most part, 2008, 2009 would be the earliest I'd go back within the last decade, and definitely nothing pre-2006 or 7, in that, as we learned in this class, Web 2.0 kind of really transformed the way people use the internet, and therefore research studies were behind the 8-ball on that, so to speak. So they are often approaching it from something that's not at all helpful for us. You can quick, if you see a title you like, and the reason why I like this one, virtual bedrooms, 20 years ago, one of the ministry advices to youth pastors was when you get a chance to visit a kid's home, ask if it's okay to get a tour of their bedroom, because you'll learn a lot about kids in their bedrooms. And that's been a principle for a long, long time. And now this report starts talking about how we actually see that in online spaces. You can click on the abstract. That'll give you a quick look at whether or not this is something that might be helpful. If you read the abstract, you see it happens to highlight all the words that were in our searches. It tells you something about this. This is actually very, very helpful unto itself. Keywords, and then it'll reflect all the research tools and studies that they use to develop this own report. Now in this case, this is a compilation of research studies, and that will work in our case because these are people that know what they're doing. So when you click on the PDF, you download it, you get something like this. You can look at the abstract, you should have a good sense of what it's going to be about, read the introduction, and then scroll all the way down to the conclusion. Their conclusion isn't very clear, if I remember correctly. Where'd it go? Yeah, so there it is. There it is, very clear. Conclusion. This will tell you, introduction will tell you what they're going to research. The conclusion will tell you the results. And if it's not clear, then go back and work your way through the various studies and reports. Now, in this case, this is a collection of research, and I often call it like connect the dots. They're connecting the dots of various research and drawing a picture, and that's a very helpful tool and one I highly recommend. So let's see, let's go back to this one. So you see that, how that works. That's the online journal. We'll close that up. I'll give you another example here. Another study. Let me go back to, this is another one I found earlier. Digital transformation of human identity towards a conceptual model of virtual identity in virtual worlds. Very cool. You can see this is a 2014, so it's a little newer. They have it here, check and see if there's anything updated on it. Same thing here, there's the abstract, the introduction, and then the actual study, the way that they bring it out. So you can pull 3 of these out. Another one, we're on the gamers. This one here actually went and talked to gamers, which is very, very exciting and really interesting to hear them provide feedback of what the research itself said. So I want you to find at least 3 of these, and you can find it all here in the Fuller page. If you absolutely can't find any, find some that are close, and in our case, say we bring up this. That's not a good one here. Let's bring up this Muslim. This is intriguing. It's kind of a little too focused for what we need, but it's really a new one. But you can also look at a lot of the other titles that they drew from. Watch for Years, 2003. That's interesting that it's included. It's fairly old. But that's one of the things you can actually look at in studies is to see, it might be a fairly recent study. 2017 is fairly recently published, but if they're drawing a lot of material on very old sources, you might want to question that a little bit, how original that work actually is. There's something from 2015, 14, 12. So that's not too bad. One other place that's very helpful and does a very good job is Pew Internet. It's literally just pewinternet.org, and type in a social media search for that. You want internet and technology as their center. Here's one of a very recent report, March 1st, 2018. So it's an overview of social media use in 2018. And here we hear a majority of Americans use Facebook and YouTube, but young adults are especially heavy users of Snapchat and Instagram. So their studies are very interesting. They give a good synopsis that you can draw a lot of information from. They got these really pretty graphics, which really makes, well, here, look at this. We can see that the growth in these, over the years in these tools, everything is definitely going up. So this is something actually I haven't looked at until today. In their study, you can read the whole complete report, which will tell you everything you need to know, or you can really go into just the context, like overview, acknowledgments, the methodology. I would really encourage you to take a brief look at the methodology in any study you use, if there's one available. So in this case, the analysis in this report is based on telephone interviews conducted January 3rd through 10th, 2018. That is really, really new for our purposes. A sample of 2002 adults, 18 years of age and older, and that's really key. So this is really a study of adults, and they'll break out, Pew is very good at breaking out what different age groups have said. But some studies aren't. Sometimes you'll see them, they study 12-year-olds to 25-year-olds, and these are the conclusions. And of course, we know a 12-year-old male is very different than a 17-year-old female. And those kind of studies, if you see that type of an age group, don't use those. Throw those out. They're just going to create confusion, and they don't work. They often get quoted because they end up creating such weird, out there results that people love quoting that stuff. So, if it's a study about adults, make sure that they actually did study adults. Another one to keep an eye out for is looking for studies that they say they're talking about the practices of high school students, but they interviewed university students who recall their high school experience. And that isn't the same. And the reason why that doesn't work, take pornography as a prime example of this. Pornography studies are almost entirely done with university students. They set up a booth in the quad of the university and they put up the sign, "Come talk about pornography." Well, who's going to come in the first place, right? So you already get this kind of very specialized group of people, and then they ask them questions. What did you do when you were 15 or 16 or 17? So you already have a group of people that are predisposed to discuss pornography and their experience with it. And then they're using their memory of what it was like when they were a high school student. And that research is really very not helpful. I can't think of a better word at the moment. It's not useful research, but a lot of graduate level research is often done like that, and sometimes the published work has ended up being that way too. And the limitations of those kind of studies are often not shared. All right, so that's my overview for you. I hope that's helpful. And if you can find 3, really good studies like this, and then what you want to do is you want to connect the data points of those conclusions to help really understand, based on those 3 studies, what is actually happening. Then you should be good to go. All right. Thanks. Hope it's helpful. Talk to you later.